very important to be able to understand what goes into a cost. So if a supplier is charging you a certain price, understand the difference between what they say are direct costs, what they say are overhead costs, what they say are fixed costs, and be able to say, does this make sense or doesn't it make sense? Now, if they're telling me their fixed costs are very high, that means I should get a quantity discount if I buy more from them. So understanding those relationships, that's very important. I think it's also important to have a basic understanding of financial statements so that you can see, okay, if we are going to do something, if we're going to do something that's going to increase our inventory, that is going to have a balance sheet effect. Maybe it's going to reduce our cost per unit, but maybe it will actually hurt our returns because our investment is so much higher. So some basic ratio analysis, understanding how the decisions that they make affect different elements in the financial statements. Understanding the impact of the decisions that you make when you say we need a lower cost, you have to make sure that the supplier can really absorb that. When you say we need to extend our payment terms, you have to make sure that you're not going to be forcing the supplier under. So you need to have that sort of comfort. And some of that develops over time, working on the job, and not being afraid to ask questions. I guess that would probably be my biggest piece of advice when it comes to anything about supplier costs, financials, is never be afraid to ask questions. Students who are exposed to purchasing through internship opportunities, through cases, maybe through having some projects in class, they really can develop a passion for purchasing and see what a great impact they can have on the organization. And let's face it, there are so many aspects of it that are fun. You know, you get to travel, you get to sometimes wear nice clothes and be in an office. Other times you might be out on the factory floor talking to the people who are actually making things happen. So you get one of the broadest exposures, I think, of almost any profession. I think oftentimes students don't really know what purchasing is. When you enter the business school, when you think about what kind of career you want to have, people think of accounting, finance, and then most places they have an operations class and they might hear about a little bit about purchasing, and then they are exposed to purchasing as something that is really a growing profession that has a lot of opportunities globally. And I think that is one of the first exposures that many students have to purchasing. And then if they're lucky enough to be in a university that has a purchasing class and they take purchasing, then they get to see what a broad area purchasing really is and how many opportunities it has to interact with people, both within the organization as well as people outside the organization. And that's one of the things that I think is really fun about purchasing, because you need to understand the new products, you need to understand the strategy of the company, and really work closely with people in marketing, maybe engineering, logistics, other areas. But at the same time, you have to take all that knowledge and then bring it out into the marketplace to identify who are good suppliers that could help us meet our needs, bring the company forward, and then also work with those suppliers to develop the right types of pricing and delivery strategies, the right types of execution. So it's a really, if you like a lot of variety and you've got good people skills and good analytical skills, it's a great job.